Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce Desmond Clark. He's a former American football tight end who played in the National Football League. He attended Kathleen High School, where he played football as a quarterback, free safety, and return specialist. He was also the holder for former Chicago Bears place kicker Paul Ettinger. Desmond also played basketball and baseball during his high school years. He played college football at Wake Forest. He was drafted by the Denver Broncos in the 6th round of the 1999 NFL Draft. During his 12-year tenure in the NFL, he played with the Denver Broncos, Miami Dolphins, and 8 years with the Chicago Bears, retiring as the second leading tight end in Bears history for catches, yards, and touchdowns behind only Hall of Famer Mike Ditka.
Fair down.
Before entering into the NFL, Desmond set the all-time, before entering into the NFL, and make sure I'm on the right. Desmond set Wake Forest University receiving records and finished his college career as the all-time leading receiver in Atlantic Coast Conference history and a degree in communications. Since retiring from football, Desmond has blazed an impressive path as a financial advisor, inspirational speaker, and business coach. In his first year as a full-time advisor with Mass Mutual Chicago, he finished up top 5 in assets accumulated for 2017. Desmond is now leading his own company, Desmond Clark Investment Group, and the Insurance People. Through his work in the financial arena, Desmond is firmly dedicated to helping people live better lives by making good financial decisions.
So Dorsey, I'm a much better speaker than singer. So I was reserving my voice to speak. Didn't want to go it all out. But hey, I'm pumped to be here today. Anybody else talk about August 3rd? Just because it's August 3rd. But for me, you know, this is the second day of my fiscal year that started August 1st. And it's like a new year for me. And you know how it is in a new year. You got all your things going, you got your resolutions. And today what I want to talk to you about is entitled Chasing Championships. We have any entrepreneurs in the building? Yeah. What is your next goal that you're chasing? Open 3 new programs. Another entrepreneur. I seen like 5 or 6 hands go up now. What's the next big goal, big achievement that you're chasing? Account executive by the end of the year. Do we have any executives of companies? No executives of companies in there, or are you not raising your hand? Okay, any moms and dads in here? All right, Dad, what's the next big accomplishment or goal that you're chasing as a dad, or that you chased before as a dad?
To raise my 5 boys to be good Christians and good people.
To be good Christians and good people. Did you say 5 boys? Well, you have my mom, she had 4. But the point is, we're all chasing something, right? We're all trying to accomplish something. And that's what I call chasing championships. I think in life, to be truly happy, we need 3 things. Someone to love, something to do, and something to hope for. Now, if we can have all 3 of those things, we can live a pretty good life. But I want to focus on those last 2. Something to do and something to hope for. In that last one, I don't necessarily like the hope for because it gives the connotation that, it's uncontrollable. So let's change that last one to something to work for. And what I mean by that It's goals. As a coach, I frequently ask people, what is your definition of a goal? And you get all types of answers. But here's my definition. It's a stated objective that we not only intend to, but we plan on accomplishing. The only reason we sit down and we write a goal is so we can accomplish it, right? But I haven't had one person that just came out and said, a goal is something that I want to accomplish. That's the only reason. Because we're chasing championships in life. And I told you, August 1st was the start of my season. And that's why I'm pumped. Like this morning in the weight room, I'm getting after it. Like I'm sweating, I probably sweated off 4 or 5 pounds. They'll know all about that. You know all about that. But for me, my championship this year is summed up in numbers. 30, 30, 100. 30, 30, 100. Why 30, 30, 100? By July 31st next year, I want to have 30 paid speaking engagements. And this is not one of them. She got me to come here for free. She got me to come here for free. I want to have 30 new financial advisor clients. I want to have another 100 members for my group coaching course. That's my championship today. Today. And my mission is to inspire professionals to transition their stated goals into actual accomplishments or championships by using 3 core values or beliefs: personal mastery, community engagement, but we need to be encouraged, we need to be challenged, and focused execution. Because without execution, you can have everything else, and it still won't get you to that championship. And I love this saying by James Allen, or this quote, as a man thinking. Men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but they are unwilling to improve themselves. They, therefore, remain bound. And as a coach and as a speaker, I'm trying to obliterate that saying for anybody who I come in contact with. Because I know it all starts within, and then it shows with the exterior. That's my championship today. But it was actually at the age of 14 that I really started chasing my first championship. It was at that age that I made a choice that I wanted to be a champion in life. See, when I was 7 years old, it was a swift change in my circumstances. We went from having, a fun house, pool table where the dinner table was supposed to be. And it wasn't a house, it was an apartment. It was an apartment. But we used to play as kids out in the park, 15, 20 of us at a time. You don't see that anymore, where you see 15, 20 kids out playing pick 'em up, bus 'em. That's what we used to call it. Football, basketball, baseball, all in the park. It changed overnight for me because that all ended and we were getting evicted. And then we had to go from home to home to home to home with different family members for a few months. Basically homeless, trying to find somewhere to lay our heads. To where we finally settled down in the Black Bottom, a neighborhood here in Lakeland, from Martin Luther King down to, I think, Amos, from 10th Street all the way over to 14th Street. That's what they call the Black Bottom. And for us, that was the perfect analogy for where we were at the time. We had hit bottom because my dad was no longer in the house. My dad was gone. He wasn't a part of this core family anymore. And when we got to the Black Bottom, see, we didn't have the pool table, we didn't have people coming to the house, we didn't have the neighborhood of all these kids having fun. What we did have, it wasn't much. Because what we didn't have most of the time was lights. What we didn't have was a refrigerator. Me and my brothers, we used to have to go to the store and put ice in this cooler just to have somewhere where we could keep the food and the drinks that we had cool. And it was around these times, maybe a year or so later, that this is when I found out why we were in this situation. Because I found out that my father had become a crack addict. Everything that he was doing led to me to believe, and it was confirmed, that my dad was a crack addict. That's why we got a big. That's why he's no longer in the house. That's why he's not looking like himself anymore. That's why he went from my hero to being like a zero in my life during that time period. And that led to all those hardships. It was around that time that I had to start processing to myself, what is life going to be like? Do I want my life to be like this? And then it was 1989 that my mom set us down. It was October 17, 1989, that my mom set us down and said, "Hey, I got something to tell you about. Dad's been shot." But it wasn't that reaction that you just gave me. It was, "Oh, he'll be okay." Just like the last two times he had been shot. But see, this is the third time my dad had been shot. So I had gotten used to it. I had gotten used to it. Now, luckily, my dad, he recovered from this gunshot, the shotgun blast that pierced his eyes so that he would never see the light of day again in his life. So he'd never see his sons again in his life. But what he didn't recover from was his drug addiction. So once he recovered and he came back from the hospital, just think about this for a moment. Think about being blind and trying to light a crack pipe, getting the crack, putting the drugs on it, and then lighting the light. As a blind guy, that could be a little different. So what my dad would do, whenever I was over to my grandmother's house, he would take me, not take me, he would just tell me, "Hey, come help me out." And we would go in the back room, and that's where I would light my father's crack pipe and watch him get high. Not only watch him, but I was essentially helping him get high. Not because that's what I chose to do, because that's what my dad asked me to do. And after years of doing this, years, one time I came out of that back room into my grandmother's kitchen. And my grandmother was nowhere around. My grandmother was the hardest working person that you could ever meet. She walked back and forth to work from 5th Street all the way to Lakeland High School to go clean, to go dump trash and mop floors. And she never missed a day of work, but when she was gone, my father would have some of everybody in the house. And on this one particular occasion, I walked out of that back room after helping my father get high. And the drug dealer approached me as he's cooking crack on the stove. And he said, "Hey, come here, let me show you how to make some money. Let me show you how to get out of those dusty XJ900s, you know, the Payless Special. Let me show you how to get you some Nike, some Jordans, starter jacket." And for me, that was enticing. Because one, my brother, the oldest brother, he had sold drugs. Now he was gone, he had got off the streets at this point. He's 6 years older than me. He made money, he did well, and that's my oldest brother. That's what I looked up to. So if he can do it, maybe I can do it and not go to jail, not get killed. Help out mom. Be one of the cool kids. Yeah, we went to high school at the same time. The cool guys were the drug dealers. The people with the money, who drove the cars, had all the nice clothes. That's who the girls like. So maybe I could be cool. Maybe I could be one of them. So I left that house that day. And as I'm walking back home, I had a conversation. And the conversation was with myself in the good conscience and the bad conscience. Or as some people say, the devil and the angel. And the devil was telling me all of the things that I could have. Nicer shoes. I could be in the in crowd. You know, the girls will like me. I have some money. I can help mom out. But the angel was just softly telling me, you don't want to be another disappointment to your mom. And as I'm walking home, this is when I made that decision. This is when I started chasing championships. I got into the house. I looked my mom in her eyes and I said, Mom, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be successful. And I meant every word. And that's when I started chasing championships. That's when I met my Coach J's, Coach Jordan, Coach Joe, Coach Jones, Coach Jackson, my middle school, high school, football and basketball coaches. Those coaches molded me to the man who you see today. And I became a pretty good high school athlete. We couldn't beat Lakeland High School because Dale was scoring 6 touchdowns on us. It's okay. I still remember. I'm still sore. They beat us 42-7 in my last high school football, 42-14. We did score twice. But those men, they molded me. And when I got to high school, I seen that path to a promise. I seen people getting scholarships for playing sports. That was that path. And I just became competitive. I knew if I was going to win this championship, I had to get a scholarship. And I did, and I got that scholarship to Wake Forest University. And when I got to Wake Forest University, I carried all these people that helped me get there. I carried my Mrs. Rice, I carried my Coach Joes, my Coach Jones, my Coach Jackson, my Coach Jordan. I carried all of those people. I carried my mom. I carried my dad, who was now off crack and now part of my life. I carried my brothers, who were my biggest inspiration. And that's why I was able to accomplish all of those feats that Ms. Dominique told you guys about. Because I had decided that I wanted to be a champion in life early on. And then after I accomplished all those things as a college athlete, pros come out. And I was drafted in 1999. And the highlight of that career is symbolized by this ring that I have here. January 21st, 2007. Man, it was a nice night. And we were playing against the New Orleans Saints. And we beat the living daylights out of the New Orleans Saints in the NFC Championship game. And we were going to the Super Bowl. And this is my NFC Championship ring. And I remember holding that trophy. And I have my nieces, my nephews, my mom, my dad, my brothers, uncles. I had as many people as I can afford and as many tickets as I can get. They were at the game. Because I felt like I'm living that championship life that I had promised my mom that I would do when I was at the age of 14. But through all of that, I learned 5 key things that if you want to pursue and chase championships as an individual, as a team, or as a leader, you have to put into practice. And number 1, I learned from Coach Joe. All you have is your name and your word. What do I mean by that? That's your essence. That's who you are. That's what you represent. That's your brand as a individual, as a team, or as a leader, or as a company, what does your name and your word stand for? Are you consistent with it? Are you intentional with it? Are you authentic with it? And the toughest thing, when the tough times arrive, what is it going to reveal about your name and your word? Because here's the thing that your name and your word provides. It shows all of us if you're trustworthy. And that's where it all begins. Are you trustworthy? Is it the truth? Number 2 is this. After you show that you're trustworthy by being consistent with your name and your word, being reliable with your name and your word, being authentic with your name and your word, now you got to start to build trust. No, people don't have to build trust with you if you want to chase championships. You have to go out and you have to build trust. And number 2 is this, the power of relationships. That's how you build trust. And there's 5 key components to building powerful relationships. And number 1 is this, keep a positive energy. Who wants to be around someone who is always down? I gotta tell you a sad story. Oh, guess what happened to me? You know, there's a time and a place for that. But people want to be around other people with a positive vibe. I want to feel good. I want to feel good when I'm around you. The second component of that is add value to others. You want to be seen as a person of value? Well, figure out a way to add value to others. And then you'll be valued. Number 3 is this, be judgment-free and learn to understand. And that is a huge one in today's society. Because if I would have approached you in my 16, 17, 18-year-old days, and I would have said something out of line, like I said when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, you probably would have looked at me sideways. But now that you hear my story, you would have had understanding of how I was when I was 16, 17, and 18 years old. Be understanding. Try to get understanding. Be judgment-free. Number 4 of the components for building powerful relationships is this. Be encouraging and be challenging. Have you ever heard somebody say, I just like being around Don Selvage? It's just like, no, never heard that? Me either, but Don is one of the few guys that I know in here, so. But I think at our core, we want to be our best. And when we're around people that encourage us and challenge us to be our best, we like being around those type of people. And then the 5th component of powerful relationships is this, consistent and reliable. Let people know exactly what they're going to get from it. Now for a team, no team wins championships without chemistry, and chemistry takes trust. This is how you build trust. Leadership. Leadership is influence, and you can't influence anyone if they don't trust you. And as an individual, no one does great things alone. You need a team of trusted advisors. Build trust. 3rd principle is this, the commitment to excellence. Are we focused on greatness? You want to win a championship? Be focused on greatness. And greatness is not this thing that we can't grab and we can't touch and we can't feel and we can't have. Greatness is simply this, doing the small details consistently in excellence over time. And you can develop greatness. Simple, easy, but it's simple and easy not to do also. And as an individual, you know, everybody says that they want to, but as an individual, are you willing to commit to excellence and go and grab greatness? And as a team, are we doing this on the same level? Are we committed to the same grind? Are we willing to put in the same type of collective effort? And as a leader, they're looking. They're going to emulate what you do more than what you say. And the fourth principle is this: self-motivation. How do we hold ourselves and each other accountable? How do we do that? Well, I believe it's understanding your vision, 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 understanding your motivations. You may want status, you may want money, you may want, wins, whatever that is. And until we can understand why we're motivated, then we don't know how to hold each other accountable or hold ourselves accountable. Because this will determine if our performance is good enough. In the fifth and last principle, if you want to win championships and not just chase them, what's the purpose? What's the purpose? And as an individual, we have to ask ourselves, why? Why do I want to do this every single day? Why do I want to get up and go work out 4 times a week? You gotta have a good why. You better develop a good why. And as a team in leadership, this is what ties all of us together collectively. Because if you don't have an overall purpose for your team and you as a leader, you're just going to have a bunch of individuals operating independently. And my phone is going on. Sorry about that. Why? What's the purpose? What ties us together as a team? As a leader, how are you going to tie your team together? And as I think about my pursuit of championships, and I think about my pursuit of my championship this year. If you follow me on social media this year, you're going to hear a lot. 30, 30, 100. 30, 30, 100. That's my professional championship this year. Here's my purpose for that. For having 30 new financial advising clients. For having 30 paid speaking gigs. For having 100 new group coaching numbers. It's always the same for me. And it's written right here. With excellence being the standard, my purpose is to enhance the lives of others through any expertise or resource available to me within reason and with respect for my family, whom are primary. Making every effort to transform strangers and associates alike into extended family members. That's my purpose. That's how I'm going to drive to 30, 30, 100. My question to you is, what's your championship? What are you chasing? And what's the purpose? Thank you. Have a little Q&A. I hate the awkward silence, so I had to break it.
Can you refresh us on who your quarterback was today so far, or one you prefer over the other?
Oh, my favorite quarterback is Rex Grossman. My favorite quarterback, I didn't say he was the best quarterback. You asked me who was my favorite, right? Rex Grossman, by far. Rex was a fun-loving man's man who enjoyed himself. And on the field, we just had a really good connection. One of those things that we didn't have to talk about adjustments. We just knew how we were going to adjust. And it wasn't a coincidence that I had my best year with Rex Grossman in the 2006 season.
I've been a diehard Bear fan my whole life.
Probably don't need the mic, but diehard Bears fan my whole life. And thank you so much for the memories that you've given me. And I was there, in spirit with you during that championship season there where we almost went the whole way. But
Yeah, we won't talk about that last.
yeah, we won't. We're not going to do that. But I do want to know, when did you know that it was time to hang up the cleats?
So the very short answer, when they no longer picked up my calls. So seriously, I was injured in 2011, and they released me the last touch of 2011 in the preseason. And I think week 8, week 9, the third tight end got hurt. And I'm like, oh man, great. I'm still here in town. I'm still in shape. I called him. I said, hey, I'm here. I'm in town. I'm in shape. You guys need a tight end. I'm your guy. I said, we'll get back to you tomorrow. They called me back the next day. Said, hey, we're going to reserve that position for a younger tight end that we could develop. And at that point, when I hung up the phone, I also hung up my cleats at that point because I said that the people who knows me the best don't want to sign me. I'm done. So that's when I hung up the cleats.
Part of me really wants to ask what you think, whether you think Tim Tebow's going to make it on the team or not, but that's not my question.
You kind of look like Urban Meyer.
So I say yes, it's on the team. You took some time to talk about that moment back in your childhood. You took some time to give the story around that moment in your childhood where you made a decision, and your decision took you in a certain direction. But you already know, and I already know, that there are so many people who come to those same kind of moments with whatever kind of circumstances in their life, difficult circumstances in their life, and they have that decision moment to make, and they don't make that decision. So either what was it about you that even caused you to look that direction and move that direction, or what is it you think that for all those who don't make that decision, make the other decision, why don't they make that decision?
Got 2 different answers to that. For me, I didn't like the life that I was in, and I wanted different. So that's why I made my decision. You know, seeing my mom struggle, seeing what my dad was going through. I mean, going to school wasn't all. I mean, you know how kids can be. That wasn't. I just didn't feel good about myself, and I wanted to change that. I really did start feeling good about myself to my senior year of high school. And I just wanted to change that. And the other reason why some other people may not make that decision, me and my daughter, we were talking about a month and a half ago, and she said something that made me feel good and made me feel bad at the same time. We were riding, and we were talking about her going to college. And she said, you know, Dad, and my daughter moved in with me January of 2020 when I was still up in Chicago. And we actually moved back to Lakeland so she can actually have a senior year and go to school and play sports. And she has a twin sister and my son. They all live with mom in Atlanta, but she decided that she wanted to come stay with me. And she said, Dad, you know, it wasn't until I moved with you until I started having these conversations. Like, no one ever asked me these questions. No one ever made me think about, you know, what's next. No one ever had me to process any of the stuff that you had me to process all the time. And I felt good about it, but then I also said, you know, she was 17 before I really leaned into that. And I believe a lot of kids, and me and a few gentlemen, we're trying to put something together to be a good influence on the kids that may not have that influence, just for that reason. Who is giving them guidance? Who's asking them questions to make them think? Not tell them what to do, but make them think about it. I tell people all the time, I'd rather tell my kids what to do. Now we'll sit down, we'll get our options, I answer questions. That was on you. And the only thing that I asked, I put pressure on them by asking this one question. I can trust you, right? That's it. And this worked. So, never had any trouble out of my 18-year-old twin girls. My son, he's 10. I'm gonna have to put the camera down on him right now. One more?
Talk about the transition from sports life to business life. How that go?
So Nick asked, what was the transition like from sports life to business life? So sports life to the age of 34, and there was this gap. There was this gap where I had to figure it out. I had to figure out what was going to be next. I took all of 2011 off, and when 2012 came around, that's when I started working on myself. And I took some time, and I started asking myself, what was the next chapter going to be? You know, football is over, don't have that limelight. And I would just sit, and I love writing, I love being creative, I love thinking. And I just sat with myself for a few weeks. And I would just write, I would jot, you know, who am I? What do I want to do? You know, those type of things. And that statement that I read you guys from my card, that was the statement that came out of me sitting for 2 to 3 weeks with myself and trying to figure it out. And with excellence being the standard, my purpose is to enhance the lives of others through any expertise or resource that I have available to me. That became my mission statement. And I said, whatever I do moving forward, this will go before that, for anything that I did. So that was my literal transition into the business world. That's why I got into the financial arena, because I was scammed out of $750,000. And I was like, well, can I help people do better? That's why I'm a speaker and a coach, because I've experienced so many things that I believe I can convey to people and help them to get past or break through obstacles. So that was my transition. Welcome. Thank you.
All right, I'm 50-50 drawing. We'll let Desmond draw a ticket. And while we do that, next week's program is Kim Long with Pope Vision. And I'd like to thank our guests and visiting Rotarians, Greg, Griffin, Ellen, Jack, Andrew, Robert, Cody, Brian, and Michelle. And the last 4 digits are 7383. 7383. There he is. Money man. And while we do that, time for the bad dad joke of the week. Where do football players go when they need new uniforms? New Jersey. And with that,